It's the Joshua Morones Podcast. Probably the best podcast in the universe. It's the Joshua Morones Podcast. Okay, maybe just the best in the RJFA. It's the Joshua Morones Podcast.
All right, so welcome to the podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Andrea. Andrea, I don't think the hospitality market gets a lot of love a lot of the time, so please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. And it's funny because hospitality shares so much love. So I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for the DoubleTree Suites Hotel by Hilton. And I've worked here for 16 years. I started as a sales manager. I was a sales manager for 2 years and then grew into my position. I have over about 25 years in the hospitality industry. I also worked for private clubs, country clubs, dining. And so service has always been a really big part of my career and passion.
I think one of the things that's going on now is people are scared.
Sure.
What do you do? Do Governor Abbott opens up certain parts, and do people still want to go out? Or what's going on? There's two sides of this that I always see is opening a market and stimulate the economy, or opening a market and people get COVID.
Yeah, I see that too. I think that people should still be able to do certain things and just be safe. Wear a mask, continue to have your good hygiene. But for us, what we're seeing is more of that leisure market. There may have been some people that may have gotten their stimulus or a little bit extra income with unemployment. And so people, I think, just need a little break. So there has been people that have come out here with their families, and certainly that's one of the areas that is the first to come back is the leisure market. I don't know about you, but I don't know that I want to be on a plane right now, but I have gone to the beach already with my family. As cautious as I am, it was a little bit scary a bit because, when your daughter is like, Mom, I have to go to the restroom and you're at Stripes.
Yeah.
We're not going to the restroom.
How do you do that?
We didn't do that pre-COVID. Or going to the hotel and, thinking about the elevators and the cleanliness, and the hotel we stayed at did a great job. And that's where the future is really heading, making sure that you're going to stay at a place that is going to have all those precautions you saw when you came in.
Right.
Obviously, we're here at the DoubleTree. Welcome to the hotel. And making sure that the sanitizers are there and the wipes and everything, so that people feel a sense of comfort and clean. And that's kind of where it's heading in the industry. Hilton has come out with a partnership with Lysol, so that is really big for our brand. Marriott, Hyatt, you name it, the majority of major brands have come up with a really great plan for cleanliness and also just making sure that, you wait a couple of days in between, when the guests stay, little things like that, are some of the precautions that.
Yeah, it's the first day that the beach opened, we took our family out there and they made us wear masks. I was one of those. I was like, we need to get out of here. But we went and every 10 minutes, it seemed like either police were driving by or the lifeguards to making sure you had your mask. But the week after, on Saturday, there was 27,000 people that went to the beach, 8,000 on Friday and 6,000 on Sunday. Everybody wants to get out. I get the leisure part. Like, I get it. And I was listening to a video earlier about a hotel brand that was running at 10% occupancy. What are you seeing on your end?
So this pandemic, unfortunately, has affected hotels globally. So it's not just a regional thing. Even, I was here during 9/11, I was here during the recession. We've gone through, so many things, including what was it, in May 2010, I think it was the swine flu. So we've gone through so much, but nothing like this. In March, for the state of Texas, hotels dropped to 35%.
Wow.
And that is because it hit us, but it hit us mid-month in March. And unfortunately, the STAR report is something that it's kind of the Bible for hotels. That's something that each hotelier gets every Tuesday.
Okay.
It's something that hoteliers like myself and my boss, we go to that report and we dive right in. And sadly, we our highest occupancy, has been, we've sold 61 rooms last Saturday, which, gave us a 20-something% occupancy.
So you've been seeing it slowly going back up? A
little bit, yes.
Okay.
And so now the challenge for us is we have 262 suites. So we have more inventory compared to everybody else in the market by like 100 rooms. So selling 60 rooms for, say, like a La Quinta or Hilton Garden Inn that maybe has 100 rooms, well, that would have put them at 60%.
Right.
It only put us in that. We haven't hit 30 yet, you know. So it's hard. We look at the numbers every single day, and that is the sad reality. And you see a lot about the restaurants who we're all in this together.
Right.
Just like they got affected, they no longer have those hotel guests that are coming in to dine at their establishments. And obviously we had to close. So our restaurant still is closed. Even though we could open on the 18th, we've made a decision to wait a little bit longer. So hopefully by the last few days of May or 1st of June, we'll be up and running again, our bar and restaurant. And, that also is hand in hand with occupancy.
Right.
So our guests have been really, really patient with us, and we miss our guests. We miss our employees. That's been the most difficult. We had 100 employees here at the hotel with a $200,000 payroll each month. And then, we went down to 15.
Wow.
So those were really difficult
I remember
days.
seeing one of your posts, you posted about the bellman.
Oh,
and
gosh.
he was the one that got cut. His
Yes.
hours got cut. How does that make you feel? Because unemployment is at an all-time high.
Yes.
And for you to work with somebody day in and day out, build a
Yes.
relationship with, and then they cut it.
Yeah, it's tough.
You went from 100 to 15.
Yeah. And, we gave some food away, from our GM is very generous. He's been here for 25 years or 27 years. And Eliseo is very special. So I can't even talk about him because he's just...
I saw the story. I was like, wow, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah, he just came in the other day and just to say hello, and he wouldn't take my money. So
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for him to come in, but I wanted to give him something. He's like, no. Like, he's such a gentleman. He is just
That's what I
so
love
special.
about certain industries is that they work together so long, they build that huge relationship, and then something like coronavirus comes, and it's an unprecedented pandemic that happened, and it literally stripped away everything from everybody.
Yeah.
Like everybody there, I don't think there was anybody that didn't get affected by this.
And I think you kind of see true colors in certain
Yeah.
aspects of people, whether they are leaders or followers. And somebody like Eliseo, who we've always known to be such a gentleman, but just the kind human being he is, incredible. There's
That's
not a lot
awesome.
of people like him.
So what has DoubleTree been doing for the past 6-7 weeks since COVID started? Like, obviously, it turned everything on its head.
Absolutely.
What have you been doing with the downtime now? And now that you're starting to get back up, what have you been doing during this time?
So we kind of, in March, early March is kind of when, we were going into this year great. It was going to be a great year. And we had a lot of group on the books in March. So we had over 1,500 rooms on the books. We, our last big group was a share tour, which was great. And then we were getting geared up to serve Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil is a really big show, and they come with about 90 rooms for 7 days. We were just waiting, like wondering if they were going to cancel or not, and they were still on board to come. And then we received the news. I got an email late on a Thursday. They were set to come on Sunday that they had to cancel.
Wow.
And since then, I've learned that they've all been laid off at Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
So that was a really big piece of revenue. And then on that Friday, everything just started, like
Snowballing.
reservations, just one after another. We couldn't keep up with the cancellations. And, I think it was the Monday of that week, I went into my boss's office. He knew that there was something going on because the transit wasn't moving as fast as it should have, like our normal trends. And I'm like, it's the virus. And I remember we got in a frustrated kind of thing, you know, because as general managers, they're like, well, you got to bring in the business.
Yeah.
This is like no excuse, okay? Like we you know, bumped heads. And then we realized this was out of our hands. This is nobody's fault. And we have to, you know, and that's actually the day where there was somebody that had gone to San Antonio Mall.
Okay, I remember that.
It had hit Texas now, so that was a game changer too. So travel just completely stopped. It came at a constant halt, and then we just decided, you know what? Let's call everybody on the books for March and April to see if they're coming in. That week we just get like all the cancellations out of the way. So we did a lot of that, so that kept us busy. The next stage was really looking at what we were going to do personnel-wise, because hotels run on revenues.
Yeah.
You know, I've been part of different nonprofits, and you know, usually look at the financials and you have like, okay, 3 months, or you know, hotels don't operate like that. Similar to restaurants, they don't have this huge surplus. They're running on revenues, and as successful of a multi-million-dollar hotel this is, that is how hotels run. Right. So that is what we started doing, kept really busy with that. But, you know, I was also trying to be very supportive of the team, you know, people knowing that, you know, you may be cut soon.
Right.
That feeling of no one's safe, or thinking one day you are safe and then you may not be safe. Is the hotel going to close? That is what was going on for several days, and my boss would just say like, "Oh my God, I'm going to throw up," and I'm like, "It's okay."
It's a very interesting time, because I mean, a lot of people think they have job security, but there's really not. There's really not. And then something like this comes along, and it just like justifies our, hey, like, what are we going to do now?
And we've seen it. We've seen colleagues. You know, we lost a lot of people, and it is difficult, and so that was really difficult. And then once then you start like, okay, you're part of the skeleton crew, and you have to work just that much harder. Yeah. So personally wise, I wanted to, well, you know, I had a team and no longer have a sales team, right? So I'm there by myself in my little corner of the world. And I just decided to keep my mind busy. So I was listening to a lot of hotel trends, listening to podcasts while I was working, and educating myself. You know, I think that's really important. I think a lot of people are doing similar things.
Yeah, I think when this whole thing happened, it forced people to adapt technology, like literally overnight. Yeah. So what have you all been implementing as far as technology goes? As far as
technology, one of the biggest wonderful things that Hilton has done, and they were the ones who led the effort on this, is the digital key. So the digital key is super cool. You download the Hilton app. You have to be a Hilton Honors member, and you literally can pick your room. It has a legend or a map that you can pick your room at what floor you want, and what, you know, if you want a corner or by the elevator or away. And you can check in with your phone. So it's like the coolest thing.
Nice.
So you just, like the image comes up and you just stand in front. So it's a touchless, keyless thing. So that's great for the front desk.
Interesting.
It's great for the guest.
Minimizes the contact.
Yeah, you can open the door, the exterior doors as well with that. And so it's very safe for the team. But that is definitely one of the great things that Hilton's done pre-COVID. That was the way to do it, and I think there'll be more technology like that. You know, one of the places or companies that I respect a lot is Chick-fil-A. I mean, you know, they're always good with service, and they had the curbside thing.
They got it down.
They have it down perfect. If we could just get all the restaurants and everything down like Chick-fil-A style, I think we'd be in great shape, because, you know, I've been really trying to support the restaurants, and, you know, especially local. You know, we've done that, and it's been great experiences.
Yeah, I always ask this to everybody that comes on the podcast. When does it become too much that we can't support local anymore? Like, restaurants already opened up to 50%. Bars are starting up to 25%. People are out of jobs. How long are we going to be able to sustain, like, support local? That's one of the things because I love to give back. I love to give back. I support my restaurants and businesses, but there's going to be one point where maybe we just don't have enough money, or the economy's not opening up.
We have to be smart, because, you know, I think as, you know, we have to learn to save more, and I think we're in a society that doesn't do so great of that. We've learned that people, out of a job for 1 month were suffering already. And we don't know the future. And that's what's really difficult about COVID is that there's so much unknown. I was having this conversation yesterday with my boss, you keep hearing day after day these different businesses that are filing bankruptcy. I heard Pier 1 yesterday.
Also JCPenney before that.
JCPenney, Office Depot, it's just been constant. And I was telling him what happens when the money is gone after the additional $600 that everybody's getting. What happens then? So I think we're not out of the gate. There's still people. You can open things, but that doesn't mean people will come.
Exactly.
We've been open the whole time.
Yeah.
But are people coming? Slowly, there's definitely some essential travel. Not as much as we'd like.
Right.
And now we're competing against everybody else with lower rates. So it is definitely a challenge. And however, I do think we'll all be stronger out of this. But you asked what we did during this time. The downtime is just, really educate ourselves, look at the trends, what's happening, what can we do, and being on the forefront of things.
Right.
We thought, okay, let's just start. We saw people like, okay, they want to get out of their house. So let's try to promote a staycation. And we did, and it got a lot of exposure, and we partnered up with our chambers to have them share it. And we were able to reach a lot of people with that, and so that's one of the things we've done recently. And all timing's important too. Like you can do that like April 2nd. You had to. There's timing for everything. You have to be empathetic, which we are, and there's just stages like that. But now slowly, just encouraging people that it's clean, it's safe, and we certainly weren't there to mislead anybody because we weren't quite sure what was going to happen.
Yeah, everything changes so fast. It seems like there's something new every single day, and there's too much information on it, and then there's not enough information on it, and then the people that aren't qualified to talk about it, and it gets all mixed up. We're like, okay, who do I go to for credible information?
Exactly.
That's the hard part.
And that's what's kind of cool about some of the podcasts, because you're hearing from like industry leaders, and that's been kind of cool. The ones that I've listened to, I don't feel like there's any exaggeration or these are real people. So that's been really good. And there was some opportunities that have come up with different like the Florida Atlantic University offered a free tourism and hospitality certification. Okay. So they allowed 80,000 of people in our industry to take part in that. So
That's
I was
awesome.
one of them. So I've been doing that, and I'll do that like at night. Last night I was taking a quiz.
Yeah.
I'm just hungry for learning.
So what
more.
exactly is that then? So they give you a certification going into a post-COVID world? Like how to handle it, or?
It's really just a resource. It's
Okay.
a certification to better yourself. Maybe somebody didn't have a hospitality degree or certification, so it's just something that you can now add to your resume. And normally that would cost like $4,000,
Wow.
so they did it for free. So
That's awesome.
Really cool that these people have stepped up. Also, American Hotel Lodging Association did some similar offerings, and so I did one on leadership, and there's a couple of others. But I try to do that, just trying to work that in, because I think it's really important to keep your mind active, and anything
definitely.
new you can learn and be ahead of the competition is always really important.
So what can people expect if they book a room here? As soon as they get here, they walk in, and the whole experience. Explain that to me.
Sure. I think that they're going to find a welcoming smile, first and foremost, but they're going to have the safety precautions. You saw maybe at the front desk, we have the plexiglass. There we have sanitizers. Then you go to your elevator, and there's also sanitizer again, and then you have a clean room. So we had to take away like paper products, so like the TV channel guide and HBO little pamphlet. We had to take out the little pads and pens that was required by Hilton. So and now the cleaning regimen is different. So Hilton came out with a 10 points, which is like the 10 things that are touched most in a room.
And which are those?
Control,
Remote control.
And your light switches, things like that, your lamps, and the coffee maker, so definitely on those. So that really gives people a sense of like, okay, this is great. And I think that people will lean towards, that brand to ensure that those things are happening.
Yeah, I think there in every industry there has to be a leader that is paving the way to be able to go into a post-COVID world, because there's no protocols. There's not too many resources that are being created per industry. Like
Right.
This is what happens when you open up a restaurant post-COVID. These are the steps you follow. These are the
Right.
new sanitization rules.
Yes.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, or it's free for all.
We
Like
have to rely on, that what the state kind of gives you some guidelines, but there's not, like you said, a lot of details. So Texas Restaurant Association has been a great resource for us, and so we're gearing up for that. But we take it very seriously, and to begin with, our chef has the cleanest kitchen probably in town.
That's awesome.
So he's always been very prideful of that, and we'll be welcoming him and our food and beverage director back next week. So
Awesome.
we're really excited with that.
So let's talk about
announcement.
that. What's the hiring process going to happen? What is it going to look like going forward?
Well, it's all about occupancy, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll be where we were at for a while. For sure, not this year, and I guess optimistically, maybe 12 months, but it could take longer than that to recover. And one of the things that's hardest to recover is the ADR. So I talk a lot in hotel terms. So that's your average daily rate.
Okay.
And usually that takes 4 to 5 years. I heard somebody say yesterday it was going to take 7 years.
Wow.
I think in our market together we could, collectively come together, and hopefully that amount of time won't be the case. But when you have everyone selling under $100 right now, it's difficult. Right pre-COVID, we were selling at 174 on a Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wow.
So and Embassy was at like 200. Our biggest competitor. So now that we're in the 90s, is the reality of every room counts.
Interesting.
It really does.
Wow.
So it's all about occupancy, and I don't think we'll be 100%. I don't know that we'll have 100 employees again, which is really sad. I mean,
Wow.
hopefully we will get a big amount back, and we have we've gotten a couple people back, and it's so nice to see their face when they're here. And I'm like that crazy lady, oh my God, hi, and they're like, hi, but it's so nice to see them. It is still hard because we can't hug everybody like we want
Right.
to. And
So fist bumps, elbow bumps.
some elbows, but it's really just so great to welcome people back, and so hopefully we'll do something special for the chef and our food and beverage director
That's
next week,
awesome.
just to welcome them in a great way.
That's awesome. So who are you seeing coming into the hotel right now?
So we have a little bit of group, which is a long-term group. They have really created a nice little base for us, so I don't want to get into details on it. But we also have, we're right next to the hospitals and in the medical district here. So we have had some essential employees that have been here. So we've had physicians and nurses,
Okay.
and some people are great and communicate with us and say, you don't need to clean my room until I check out. And we've had a lot of leisure, and that's really been the first thing to come back. I think the hardest, people that are gonna take the longest is like our companies that are maquiladoras, across the border. It's really important. Like, we're always listening to the news, and keeping abreast of things. And so yesterday, the announcement came out that the U.S. Mexico border would still be closed until June 22nd.
Wow.
So is that great for us? No. And actually one report said indefinitely, but they're taking it a month at a time.
Right.
And so
What percentage of what was your rooms being taken from those people from across the border?
There's a Mexico leisure market, and which affects obviously our shopping and,
Right.
and food and hotels. I would say that's kind of like a 10% or so, but one of the largest segments for us is preferred business, which is
Okay.
a lot of your Fortune 500 companies that operate in Mexico, your GE and LG and GM and Ford Motor, and I can go on with all the different companies we work with. And right now, most of them have travel bans, and a lot of the plants closed. I did see another article that automobile industry will be considered or deemed essential now. So I need to look into that a little bit more to see which plants are going to open. And also medical plants are open. So like CR Bar, they do like heart valve components. They've opened, but that isn't our biggest company. So it's difficult. Our Panasonic is one of the largest companies. It is just shut down.
What's the best piece of insight you can give us from your hotel perspective, from the hospitality perspective, that's going on with COVID-19?
Best perspective. I think that, we hear a lot of bad news every day. Yesterday and this week, I heard that the Hilton Times Square gave their keys back to their lenders.
Wow. And
that's in New York. And the Marriott Times Square just did the same yesterday.
Wow.
The hardest hit hotels have been luxury and full service like us. We have so many rooms. So the ones that survived a little bit better right now are like your extended stay properties, your Staybridge and Residence Inn. They might have a contract with the government. There's like a lot of National Guard in the area and all the way through Cameron County. So that those contracts were great that they had, or some hotels have airline business. So that is something that creates base. So that's been good with those properties. But the perspective is just trying to do our very best, making sure that we sharpen our skills and make sure that when we are hiring back, we're hiring the best possible employees that we have. We have so many great employees. We actually received an award this year.
That's awesome.
It's our second one for Hilton. It's called the Pride Award, and it's for the best of the best. And it's out of 500 hotels in DoubleTree, and we're so proud of that award. But we found out like in the middle of March last year when we got it. I remember calling my boss. We were like literally like crying, like check the email again. Did we read it right? Did we really win? And this year it was like not celebrated or anything. It was like we just like, oh, by the way, we won.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a but when we get our team members back, I'm sure there will be a day we will celebrate. But you don't really find award winners that are 35-year-old hotels.
That's awesome.
And so I give all the credit to our team. Our employees are the best. I mean, really, we have a culture that is very unique.
That's awesome. What's the best piece of advice that you can give a struggling business or a hotel right now?
I think it's important to be really positive and, because being fearful or that could come off as not very soft or warm and welcoming, and it is really difficult right now in the hospitality industry because we are the happy people. Think about Disney. We're the happy people. We're here to make memories special for families and for businesses. All the little things matter, which is our motto. So I would say just stay positive and stay sharp. Every reservation might be an opportunity. I'm constantly looking at everything. I'm always, making sure I can connect in some way. Like if there's any other colleagues you might have coming in the area, those little things definitely add up to bigger things. You never know when that one person coming in might be on a project and they might, it could span it to big things. So that's really important. So, as salespeople, you're always telling the front desk, make sure you get thorough reservations. We need, where are they coming from? Now more than ever, we're looking at every single reservation. We want to know, are they coming for corporate or leisure?
Right.
Because it all matters, for forecasting and scheduling and everything. So
yeah, I feel like a lot of times people kind of just threw in the towel. Like they got tired. Like, I can't do this. I have to adjust to this whole new coronavirus, everything that's going on. And a lot of people just threw in the towel. And a lot of people were like resilient. They want to get back to normal. Yeah. So a lot of people are like either or. I've seen that. What do you see on your side?
I just feel like I'm very self-driven, but I'm ready, of course, for the business to come back. But I don't think it's just going to be normal. And I'm not one to give the towel, so I don't fit in that category. We're going to fight for everything we can. And as salespeople, you always have that feeling of responsibility for people, and that's a tough weight to carry. And I remember a housekeeper coming into my office. She's like, "¿Cuándo vamos a abrir?" I'm like, "We're open." I'm like, "We are open." There's just no people coming, but they're like, they want to see their coworkers, and they want to see. I mean, this was a place where there was people here all the time having drinks, and I mean, you never know who's going to be here. With tons of celebrities. I mean, we have artists that stay here, and so many guests that we've worked with. So we've worked with the White House, and we've worked with so many amazing groups, and we want to see that again. Even for us, on days we'd come, and there's off days. I mean, I'm not always crazy, happy-go-lucky, but some days it's like, oh my God, there's no life. Like, let's turn the music on. It's difficult because we had to close down the fitness center and the pool and the restaurant and the bar. So all you had to sell was a room. And so little by little, we've opened the pool, and next phase will be the restaurant and bar.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's just a very interesting time. It's just, I think we'll get past it, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of work. And I think that's one of the important things is it's going to take work. Yeah. So if you put in the work, you'll be good.
And you see, the people, like you talked about technology a little while ago, you saw the people, like if restaurants didn't know how to do social media before, well, guess what? That was their way of communicating with people. Yep. That is so important. And you have to be able, you saw some amazing people pivot and those are the people that are going to come out more successful. So you can't stay in your old ways. You have to get better. And if there's any time now, just sharpen your skills, and that way you come back ready and ready to go. And now, for the people that are looking for jobs too, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I missed was the human interaction, like just being next to somebody. Yeah. Like you didn't have that anymore. You're just with your family all the time. But you're actually, now you're going out, you're going to talk to people, you're going to interact like the podcast here. Mm-hmm. Like the podcast on the phone, what I was doing during coronavirus, completely different. Mm-hmm. It has a very dry feel, but this is what I liked about the podcast because it allows us to have a conversation, a long conversation that doesn't have the little snippets from like the news. This is a in-depth conversation that gets into, that actually informs and educates. But before we finish off the podcast, do you have anything else you want to share?
We're just, anxious to get back. Maybe not to normal because one thing is about being optimistic. You also have to be realistic. Right. And we're ready. We're ready to welcome our guests, but we understand that it's going to take time, and certain, segments are going to come back first. And one of the ones that, we're finding out is Mexico, continuing to close the bridge till June 22nd to those leisure people coming. It is hard because in the summer is usually when they would vacation and stay and shop, and so it's just a trickle down effect. If they're not staying in our hotels, they're not going to shop, and they're not going to eat in our great restaurants. So I just wish everybody the best, and we will get through this, and I thank you for taking the time today.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people forget, all the different industries, and the hotel industry definitely, we've had a decrease in 90% of our revenues.
That's insane.
It's something that is crazy, and we will come out of this stronger.
Awesome. Andrea, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will see y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Joshua Morones Podcast.